Here's Johnny. Thank you, Ed. Well, hello there, my social media family. Bring up any persons among yourselves. As in, from my followers, aka subscribers, to visitors, even who are affiliated or associated with representing my own particular YouTube social media channel, and likewise chat room. How are you all doing? Hopefully everyone is doing at least okay. If not better yet to be said, say for the record, all right. If not best of all, be put like this here, where it's any could lay claim to supposedly having become or be of a status, whereas one could say that one feels blessed and stressed, more blessed and stressed, too blessed to possibly become or be stressed. You and yours, your family and friends, and me and mine for now. And move right along. Now, tonight, or where the present social media broadcast, then as it is, the some such video content material, is about concerning how should I put it? It is yes, involving regarding or making reference to how this one insane or crazy female person or a woman had taken it upon herself to show how much she herself would come off as cupcake for Cocoa Pops, and she took a sharp object of a knife or whatever it was, being of a nature, and she stabbed her young, underage minor of a relative sibling of a child with it. She stabbed him, or rather her. I'm sorry, I don't remember whichever gender that is, not that a child is a living creature. I don't remember whichever gender the child was supposed in, but nevertheless, the underage minor of the child had become a victim of what would be commonly called and commonly known as child abuse. So that is something just to give them a time. Coming from one's own mother or mom. And to have to think that shortly after this same crazy woman, she had attempted to, that is, unalive, take her own life, kill herself, commit suicide. But she herself was not so lucky. Although the underage minor or the child was not lucky either. Then because unfortunately, upon her victim being of her own child being transported to a local neighborhood community hospital for vicinity via that an ambulance consisting of paramedics present was rushing on there only for one to have come out as a status of DOA, dead on arrival. Well, getting back to the mother of the mom, who turned out to be the abuser of the child in question. Same with the said in question of 4 inches. Where she herself had attempted to jump from, what was it? A balcony or roof of a building. But she was not so lucky as she would have to have, than to face the music. But she was taken into custody, apprehended or arrested by the police. And I would presume she was charged with first-degree murder not just manslaughter. Once she were to be arraigned for court proceedings, to be placed in front of or have to go before, as she would be mandated as subpoena to appear in front of a judge, jury, and prosecutor for a hate crime of that nature, being of child abuse, and being of which is quite or very much so similar to elder abuse. Now, when I consider matters as this being, then I would say from there, certain, you know, persons in question who are supposed to be the likes born and raised female persons or women, they should not have any children to begin with. I mean, when I look at some such matters, as I consider this here, you know, being as it is some such of a nature of a civil and a human rights violation offense of a hate crime, then I would say from there, you know, certain women, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think not. I mean, it may sound rather not like that would be supporting, you know, any abortions, but certain persons or women within the opposite sex, if this is going to become to be the outcome for a sibling relative of an underage minor of a child in the future, then certain women should have their tubes tied. That's the only way to explain it, you know. If they're going to make a child become subjected to that of experiencing some such severe or serious child abuse in any regard, especially when it comes to that of a child being stabbed with a sharp object, you know, that don't make any sense, you know. I mean, why would a mother or mom do that? Well, for one thing, she herself is obviously, you know, evidently insane in the membrane, cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, crazy. But then maybe drinks and drugs was involved, who can say? Whereas that would complicate matters, compound the problem, exacerbate the case in our situation up under those kind of conditions, you know. Yeah, another little child had become subjected to experiencing child abuse. I mean, it's sensitive. I can't fathom, you know, why a mother and mom would do that to her own child. I mean, I cannot begin to imagine, you know. Whereas one of the only other explanations to that is to try to, you know, understand how that could happen is, like I said, she obviously, you know, evidently cuckoo for Cocoa Pops, you know, um, full gone into the twilight zone, you know, out of her tree, off her rocker. But then a character like that would get me reflecting upon certain neighbors being the likes of, you know, my present public nuisance problem neighbors within a really bad neighborhood, as in, you know, proverbial neighbors from damn hell characters. Now, I cannot fathom, and getting back to the original subject matter, not that I was wagging the dog as in changing the subject. Yeah, and getting back to original subject matter, a topic of discussion to be debated, of giving argument with many different views and opinions to be affiliated, associated with, and representing some such thereof. Now, I cannot understand how a mother and mom could do that to her own relative sibling of a child. It just don't make any sense to me, you know, one way or another. the drinks and drugs were involved or not, you know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, really not. I mean, regardless, be a person related to a child being abused or not, you would really have to be a stupid and sick person, you know, to do that to an underage minor of a child, or to do something like that to an elder of a senior citizen, for that matter. You know, I mean, it just makes me shudder or form goose pimples on my arm to think of what the child had to endure, that kind of, you know, abuse, you know. I mean, I can only imagine how terrified the child was before it was, not that a child is it, I'm sorry, before he or she, depending on whichever one's gender, was stabbed to death by one's own mom. Now, don't ask me what city, state, town, province, country. Well, I know it was supposed to be in the USA, but don't ask me exactly where within the continent of the USA. I don't remember on short notice. I'm sorry. I'm just hearing about it more or less myself, but this is supposed to be like a major news headline story. You know, I'm sure it's not upon the many different, well, upon more than quite a few news channel stations, and if it is not already different newspapers, then more than likely, more often not, it will be in due time. Anyway, though, this crazy woman stabbed her own child to death. You know, be drinks and drugs were involved, or be she would have been up under the influences or not. You know, just took a sharp object and, you know, man, talk about Anthony Perkins movie flick character portrayed in the Hollywood California motion picture production of Cycle. Really now. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to literally actually do that to your own child, you know, it don't make any sense. You know, I mean, it is just so ridiculous, you know. Yeah, she may as well had come off like the crack pot or crank male capture. I think you know the one or one of some such I'm talking about. You know, they had on a live Charlie Kirk. You know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's crazy. These are water guns. Or like that that one other character, you know, the lights. You know, what was his name? His name sound like is as if you could be pronouncing a pizza. Luigi Magnoni, who had woman. First of all, the name of the other assassinated Charlie Kirk, I think his name was Tyler something. I don't know. No, not Tyler Perry. That's Hollywood, California. Actor who likes very much so loves to dress up and drag. As I would think that he himself, being a male, is a member of the LGBT community. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then getting back to some such other, the assassin of this big CEO affiliate associated with and representing the pharmaceutical industry, and as he had as he had done, as he did, and it goes by the name of Luigi Manioli, something like that, had assassinated this big business CEO of pharmaceutical industry representative. I think his name was Mr. Brian Thompson, something like that. Whereas this one murderer, killer of her own child, of an underage minor relative sibling, can or could possibly compare to the likes of them. Quite naturally, obviously, evidently. And I will try to think of it with my intention to decide whether or not I want to do a second installment of this particular social media broadcast of video content material, but then I don't think so. At least you all have gotten this one and get the general idea of what I was saying about this one mother and mom who had most recently murdered or killed or unalived, as Mr. Ray William Johnson would say, being of a TikTok social media influencer, unalived being of a replacement word or the substitute for the word murdered or killed. The person were to murder or kill another individual, or contemplate that, imagine the thought of committing suicide against one's own self. Anyway, this here crazy woman of a mother and mom, regardless of whether or not any drinks or drugs were involved, had unalived her own underage minor sibling relative of a child, and I just thought to share that with you all for here and now at this given moment in time for the present. And on the last note of interest, I like to say in conclusion, and that is, if you have not gotten Christ as your own personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now, while the blood is still running warm in your veins, by recognizing and realizing what he himself had done and did upon the cross of Calvary on the hill of Golgotha, suffering at the hands of Roman soldiers upon the orders of their superiors, being more so made up mostly of religious Pharisees and Sadducees. But then, nevertheless, when he went to the cross of Calvary, God, who had come in human flesh to reach between himself and mankind made in his image, to fulfill biblical prophecy, so that anybody, regardless of race, walk of life, factor, society, lifestyle, preference, general age, etc., who could possibly profess some such faith in him, from there could possibly become or be blessed in one God or another, more ways than one. First and foremost, with his salvation, then which is only mean by which any of us can or could possibly become and be considered as citizens of the kingdom of heaven. And as his blood sacrifice, salvation is the only fire insurance against the lake fire down hell. And second of all, we'll be blessed with his deliverance. But first, you have got to get his salvation. Otherwise, you have nothing come so far blessing is concerned. You make that transition for the great beyond here after afterlife. You don't have the blood sacrifice of our Lord and Savior Christ upon and within your immortal human souls. Then your final destination will become or be the lake of fire down hell. Unless you were to become one of the few that go to hell and come back to this world after becoming subject to that a beyond and back experience, whereas you could reverse that decision you would have made to reject so great salvation, then your final destination would be there to be considered to be a son with rest and unsaved, lost down human souls, or non-believers or unbelievers, to be there forever, compared to how we as believers in God will be across that great divide that separates heaven and hell, and come to like mind believing in present God and his angels for all eternity. Even so, while we're down here upon the planet Earth as citizens of the kingdom of heaven, we could possibly become or be blessed down here, and hopefully we could possibly become or be in greater blessing unto another or other by sharing with them the gospel message of salvation, so that they could also become citizens of the kingdom of heaven, and likewise share the same, the said in question aforementioned with others. Y'all take care and peace.